Hello, everyone here on Enlightened World Network, and good morning here. Good afternoon, good evening, wherever you're joining me from in the world. I'm happy to have you. I'm Tomas Garza, and welcome to A Course in Miracles 365, Awakening to Love. And I'm back from my home office. Literally, here in Phoenix, Arizona. I've been doing some traveling and have had a lot of time to reflect and a lot of time to celebrate. My son, who's 18 years old, just graduated from high school up in Corvallis, Oregon. So I've been up for those festivities. And it's really been a lot of fun to connect with him and to see him so excited with an entire life ahead of him. And well, yeah, I remember when I graduated from high school, seems like a long time ago. In fact, it was 1990. So it's really, really fun to be traveling and to see everybody up there. And I'm back right here in the beautiful sunshine. And here we are moving along in the workbook for students. Now, on Monday, the last day I did a live, if you want to go back and look, I had a couple of companions with me as I was traveling. I was staying in a bedroom that's a child's room. So I had Batman over my shoulder and a Lego poster over my shoulder too, with Lego dinosaurs, Lego spacemen, cowboys, all of that. If you missed that, you can check out Monday's episode on Enlightened World Network's YouTube channel, which does have all of the past shows archived. So that is there. And the playlist is under this show name, A Course in Miracles 365, Awakening to Love. You can find it there. And I'm also going to be back there in about 3 weeks. So you'll see Batman again. I promise. He'll make an appearance, and so will the Lego people. Yeah. And they'll be back as we travel up there again for another event and function. So what we were talking about on Monday was delay and why we delay, how we delay the inevitable, with the inevitable not being our physical death, the inevitable not being paying the light bill or your tax bill for this year, anything like that. The inevitable is our own awakening, our own enlightenment, our own realization of the truth, the fundamental, absolute truth of who we really are. Delaying that. Yeah, we do it. I don't think that we really want to do it consciously, necessarily, but we do it in the world. And that was the subject of the live on Monday. And it was the special focus on delay. We're going to talk about that today as we move forward with the ideas here in the workbook. We've arrived at lesson 103. And we've been talking about the will of God, and we've been talking about the truth that God's will and our will are, in fact, one and the same. Yeah, God's will is not that we suffer. It's not that we treat ourselves with scorn and disdain and abuse ourselves emotionally, if not physically, right? Emotionally, mentally. Yeah, that's not God's will, not in any way, shape, or form. God's will for us is happiness. In other words, union with Him. Or if you prefer, her, them, it. Pronoun doesn't make any difference in this case. God simply is. We're part of that, which I hope should be really, really, truly exciting, because it's exciting. It is. It really is. It's uplifting and it should be completely, completely energizing to you. All right. So, lesson 103, God being love is also happiness. All right. Simple enough idea. All of the workbook ideas are like this. They're very easy to recite, and quite frankly, very easy, if you so choose, to commit to memory, and pretty easy as well, again, if you so choose, to practice. God being love is also happiness. Maybe you were told as a kid that God is love. I was told as a kid that God is love. When I went to fundamentalist Sunday school as a kid, I was told that God is love. Now, in the same sentence, I was also told that God is vindictive and jealous. You can tell from my facial expression how I feel about that. Yeah, I felt that then. A Course in Miracles has confirmed that my feeling was absolutely spot on that one. Yeah, I was also told that, yes, God's love, but yes, God's jealous and can strike us down and hates this and hates that and won't respond to sin. Well, I'll tell you why, because it doesn't exist, so there's nothing to respond to. Now, when I voiced those, and I've said a couple of times, I've recounted my stories here on the live, I was met with not with scorn and disdain and mistrust by the adult leaders whom I feel very sorry for now, because I really was that kid that felt like they were wrong and wanted to challenge them. I wasn't mean about it, but you can bet that I was persistent about it. So I never got the satisfactory answer that I was looking for. They didn't have the satisfactory answers to give. So happily, that can be found in other places. And of course, spirituality is all about experience. So the beauty of this, the beauty of A Course in Miracles, the beauty of any spiritual practice, whatever that looks like for you, is that these are living, breathing truths. In fact, it's the truth that can be experienced. And that's how it really sinks in, isn't it? You can believe anything that you want to believe. Now, you can say, hey, I believe in God, I believe in this, I believe in that. The spirituality is about the experience. It's about having the experience, constant experience of God, of our divinity. Yeah, yours, mine, all of ours. It's pretty clear in A Course in Miracles. It says it in many, many different places. We're one with God. I think that instinctively you know that. I know you know that. We all know that we are love and that choosing love is choosing ourselves. It's beautiful. It's beautiful. It's necessary. And let's take a look here as we look at lesson 103 in the workbook at the ways that we don't. There are many ways. We'll only cover a few of them here in the next couple of minutes. But let's talk about love. God being love is also happiness. Now, in the world, we have convinced ourselves otherwise. We've convinced ourselves that somehow we're undeserving or unworthy of happiness. We've looked at that in past workbook lessons, that we're somehow less than. Yeah, God's up here, we're down here, we suck, we're scum. We tell ourselves that. It's extraordinarily disempowering, isn't it? It's horribly disempowering, it's stultifying, and it stops us dead in our tracks. Yeah. Yeah, talk about non-life supporting, right? God's will for us is perfect happiness. God being love is also happiness, yet we're convinced that love is not what it really is in the world. God simply is. In other words, love simply is. It extends itself. It knows only itself. It's limitless, quite literally limitless. It's all powerful. It's all powerful. We are limitless and all powerful. You are limitless and all powerful. So what happens in the world? Well, we all put these limits on ourselves. We try to make love into a thing. And in modern culture, it's often equated with romantic love, with a romantic partnership, with all of the horrendous, crushing, and heavy expectations that can go along with that, right? All of the disappointment, letdown, and frustration, betrayal, you name it, all of the frustrations that can go along with a romantic relationship. There's a lot of beauty that can come of that. Yeah, if you're in a very happy, loving, nurturing, romantic relationship, then you know. And I think that every single one of us, when we reach the age that I've reached, which is approaching 50, we've had some beautiful experiences in romantic relationships and some not so beautiful, like downright ugly experiences. Yeah. Life throws both at us. Why? Because, well, we limit love. We limit it to a basic situation. We limit it to a situation between just two people and no one else, right? And just certain situations laden with societal expectations, men and women, doesn't matter. Everybody has weighty, weighty expectations that can be overpowering, crushing, and doom what would otherwise be a beautiful relationship to abject failure from the start, right? Why? Well, we're starting with the wrong premise. Love is abstract, it's all encompassing, it's limitless. It's not limited to certain situations. It's not limited to certain behaviors. And I'm not saying that you should go out and be, well, out of control with it. I'm not saying that in any way, shape, or form. I'm very happily married. It's a wonderful thing to have a beautiful, happy, romantic partnership. But understand, we're talking spirituality here. We're talking ultimate truth. Love is abstract and it's all encompassing. In fact, it's who we are. It's not who we are with just one individual in our lives. It's who we are all the time. Big, big, huge difference. I'm just using this as an example of how we limit ourselves in the world. We think that love brings us pain. Why? Because these romantic relationships break up sometimes. We get frustrated with our partners sometimes. If you don't have a partner and you'd like to have one, then dating can be frustrating. It can be a wonderful experience 1 minute and really disappointing the next. Yeah. And it's often a merry-go-round. It's up and down. It's like a roller coaster. And it's like a yo-yo or a seesaw. You're up, you're down, you're up, you're down. And at what point do you get off? Well, that point is when you choose to get off. It's all a choice. So what we do in today's lesson 103, in the practice periods as recommended by the workbook, is we sit with this idea. And we really start, don't we, by reciting this idea. God being love is also happiness. To fear him is to be afraid of joy. It says this in italics. To fear him is to be afraid of joy. What happens when love disappoints us according to the way we've really rigidly and strictly defined it in the world? Well, we become afraid of it. We become afraid of love. We become afraid of God. And I was taught that to fear God was a badge of honor, a societal rubber stamp that I was a good person and was worthy. Yeah, no, fear. Never bought that one either. And the adults in Sunday school had absolutely no answer for me on those questions. None. Yeah, to fear God is to be afraid of joy. It's to be afraid of your own nature. It's fearing yourself. So this is ultimately what happens when we suffer is we're doing this to ourselves. It may look like somebody is causing that suffering. Suffering is all internal. Yeah, it's in our minds. Not saying that you shouldn't have healthy boundaries. In fact, you should have healthy boundaries. That is a radical, radical part of forgiveness that is hugely, hugely important. So have those. Yes, set them, please, on behalf of all of us. But we restrict love in the world to our own cultural definitions, our own family definitions, our own societal definitions. And when we set limits, it is an act of fear. Limitations of any kind are a result of fear-based thoughts. Fear of what? Well, fear of our own light. Yeah, fear of ourself, capital S. Now, I submit, and other spiritual authors and teachers have said the same things over the years, that, well, we're all really saying the same thing, aren't we? That we fear our light more than we fear the darkness. You know, we're so attached to this notion of an ego, of a separate self that runs around competing for supposedly scarce resources, finite, everything finite, cut off, pigeonholed, put in cupboards, put in cubby holes, sectioned off. We're sectioned off from each other. We do it all ourselves. You know what this means? We can undo it. What is preeminent here and what's paramount in all of these ideas, all of these lessons, is the power of our own mind, the power of who we are. And we're actually not the thinking mind. We're more even than that. Yeah. Spirit is more than a rational thinking mind. However, let's use that thinking mind to choose love and to choose loving thoughts and real powerful actions. That's real power. It's kindness, forgiveness, compassion. Can look brutally honest sometimes, yes, but loving thoughts are where the real power lies. Those are the thoughts that we think with God. Those are our real thoughts. This is something that is not unique to me. I didn't make this up. A Course in Miracles says this throughout. Our real thoughts are the thoughts we think with God. In other words, they are our loving thoughts. All of our fear-based thoughts that lead us to feel cut off, separated, angry, frustrated, can be just let go. If you have a fear-based thought right now, the next moment you could choose a loving thought. We have that power of choice. All of spirituality comes down to that. So to fear God is to fear joy. It's to fear love, limitlessness, happiness. Do you want that for yourself? Do you want to continue to limit yourself? I mean, if the answer is yes, then the answer is yes. But you're watching this, so I know that the answer is not yes. You have, at some point in the past, maybe it was 15 minutes ago, maybe it was earlier in this lifetime, you have made the choice that you want to experience the truth of who you really are. You want to wake up. I know you do, or you wouldn't be here. There are millions and millions of other things you could be watching right now. So you're here right now for a reason. You made this choice. Now let's continue the walk, yeah? It is happiness that you seek today. It's happiness, joy, love that you seek every day. Everything we do in this life is either an expression of love or it's a call for love, one or the other. We have a choice as to how we show up in the world. We have a choice as to how we behave. We have a choice as to what we say when we interact with people. We have a choice as to all of our behaviors. It may seem like we don't. We do. We really do. That is the beauty. That's where our salvation lies, is we take charge and responsibility for that. So, as always, I highly recommend that you read the commentary for today's lesson, lesson 103 in the workbook. Again, the idea, God being love, is also happiness. Now, if you don't have a physical copy of A Course in Miracles, this can be easily found online. Simple Google search, Workbook Lesson 103, ACIM, there you go. And it will show the entire text that's written. It's only a few paragraphs, and in italics are the words, the prayer, if you so choose to call it that, that is so helpful and so beneficial to recite. So by all means, please do that. And You won't be sorry. You really won't. All right. So let's take a quick look and see who's joining me here live today. Well, Cindy and Lisa, hi. Thank you for joining me. How are you guys doing? Yes, and welcome home. Yeah, we're home in Phoenix, Arizona. As I mentioned at the top of the show, we were up in Oregon, totally different climate, it's nice and cool. Here in Phoenix, we're expecting, I think, 102 degrees Fahrenheit today. So in degrees Celsius, that's 39, pushing 40 degrees. Next week, they're saying 46, nice and toasty. Just the way I like it. All right. So thank you guys for tuning in, and let's quickly see who's tuning in here on Enlightened World Network. And thank you guys for tuning in here. And again, you can catch all of the back episodes here on Enlightened World Network's YouTube channel. It is a great resource. Every show, in fact, on the network has its own YouTube channel, and that's Enlightened World Network. Highly recommend that you subscribe to that as well, and get all of those beautiful shows. And if you have specific questions or comments, feel welcome to leave them here in the comment thread. I do check these from time to time throughout the day. And I thank you all for tuning in. I'll be back here tomorrow as normal, and we'll continue on with the lessons in the workbook. So thank you all for joining me. Have a great day, everybody.